You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Everyone, and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, is my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Happy Monday.
Oh, boy. How are you today?
Living the dream, man.
Good.
Living the dream. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm on a little vacation. I guess a weekend getaway, if you will, at my brother's place.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
Going to get to swim a little later. Last hurrah for the summer. I don't get to do that very often.
One thing I don't care to do ever.
Well, it's not something I actively seek out, but I mean, I'm here. I got my swim trunks.
I feel like at your brother's place, it's probably a well-kept, clean pool.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in most cases, you have to subject yourselves to a public setting, in which case I am not a fan of, stewing in other people's filth.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's why I'm okay with this. I'm around people I know, not a bunch of strangers who I don't know. I don't know if they have not bathed. I don't know if they're peeing in the pool. I don't know these things.
Last time they had a potty break.
Yeah, I don't know these things, but here I feel comfortable, so I'm okay with it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what you been playing?
I started Man of Medan yesterday, the first part of the Dark Anthology series, and it's exactly what I expected it to be. I mean, it's more Until Dawn, basically, just a different story and everything. I mean, it plays exactly the same, pretty much to the T. Sure. I mean, the only difference is now it's on PC also, which I'm thankful for.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been running really well. Like I tried to, because I heard there was some performance issues with the PC on launch. Mm-hmm. And like a little bit of stuttering and just people couldn't like pump it all the way up without having a few issues or whatever. So it was patched before I got to it. So I hadn't really noticed any problems. And I was playing everything on Ultra. So it looked pretty good.
Excellent.
But yeah, they pretty much play exactly the same kind of mechanics. Like even in Until Dawn, when you found the little totems that would kind of give you like insight into a death to try to avoid it or whatever. They've got the same kind of mechanic in this game, just finding pictures as opposed to totems or whatever. So, but I mean, I've got no complaints. I'm enjoying it. It's a silly story. And yeah, it's place. They've got me on a couple of jump scares already too. So that's always fun when you get to scream and then your just whole body is tingling. Freaking jump scares. Like, I don't know why they do that to me, but I haven't gotten through it yet, but I anticipate I probably will today because I can't imagine for it being a half price game that it's going to be much longer than 4, 5, 6 hours total. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it looks great. It's been playing pretty good. I haven't had any issues with it, and I can give you more next week on how I felt about the ending or how well I'm doing. I feel like I've already made a couple decisions that's gotten someone killed, but they're not dead yet. But I have like if it's kind of following the formula of like how Until Dawn did, there was a choice like a QTE that I missed because I'm usually amazing at QTEs, but sometimes like the little cutscenes will be so long that you tend to just like relax to watch. And then it'll pop up so fast that by the time I've panicked and moved my hand back to the keyboard, I've missed it. And the thing that happened because I missed it, just because of something in Until Dawn that's kind of reminiscent of what just happened, I'm like, ugh! I have a feeling that somewhere down the line, that choice that's going to bite me. But let's see. Because there was another choice that I thought for sure was going to also, but I seem to kind of save it for the moment. So we'll see. So far in my playthrough, about 2 hours in, everyone's alive. Nobody's in great shape because of me missing a few QTEs. But now I've learned just keep my hand on WASD. Just don't relax or pause it if I want to take a sip of coffee or something. Because I'm like, it goes fast. It goes really fast. Like I feel like there's a lot less time on the QTEs on this one, or maybe it's just because I got used to the controller and my hand is just faster at hitting one of those buttons than on the keyboard when I'm chilling. But and then I've been working on some ranked songs on Beat Saber. Got through a couple more. I want to refine them a little bit before I actually use those as uploads to YouTube because I am getting through them, but I would like them to look a little prettier before I do. But that and some more of this war of mine. I've really been addicted to that, man. I'm telling you, it's so simple yet so good, which I explained last week. But yeah, so I got through another couple scenarios on that, which was insanely hard because the group they had me piled up with, none of them are really like specialized in anything in this particular one. So I think like the difficulty level gets upped on that because none of them really have a big backpack for scavenging or skilled in building or cooking or anything. So resources are just... either I can't bring that much back with me each time, so it's taking forever to upgrade things, or when I have to cook, it uses so much more fuel and water to cook the food because I don't have like a cook there. So it's been interesting playing it with those three people because they don't have any skills really that makes any one thing easier. So hopefully I can get through it without killing anybody.
Yeah.
Or them starving to death. They're getting so depressed that they just can't even move because that's a thing in there too. If they get severely depressed, they're just like just standing there. I can't get them to move. I can't get them to eat or anything. So hopefully somebody can go talk them from the ledge is basically what it is. Like a little bubble will pop above their head that says you can go talk to them. And then hopefully after their talk, you get them to just regular depressed so they can at least take care of themselves. But I lost a character to that once before. He starved to death because nobody could talk to them. They didn't have the skill to like talk to him. And he just stood there for days until he finally starved to death, and it was actually pretty tragic. I was just like, I don't know how to get him to move. Like clicking, and he's just done, man. We couldn't bring him food anymore. I don't know if it was bugged in that particular one because this was a while ago, but I remember just going, oh my God, that was so tragic. Just he stood there for 3 days until he starved to death, and
this is my life now. I'm gonna
this is just how it is. Because like once the daytime starts, that's where it saves. So, like, you have to go through your whole day and night cycle before it'll save. So, like, if you die going to scavenge, you can totally be that jerk that just crashes the game. So it'll start that day over, and hopefully you don't get anyone dead. But yeah, that's been on my playlist this week. I'm hoping to get Groundhog Day for VR here soon because it looks like a lot of fun and it just released. So, which we mentioned in last week's podcast, the release date anyway. So I want to play that one. Tequila Works does some good stuff. So
sure. I was surprised that it had an M rating.
Oh, it's probably because of like language and stuff like that. Like they have to be pretty picky with it now. I think they probably use like expletives that.
Yeah, but wasn't the movie like a PG movie?
I mean, they might just be ripping off the concept.
Yeah, could be.
You know, like, I don't know if it's like.
Well, they said it actually follows, it's supposed to be like the son.
Oh, the kid, right?
Yeah, the son of Phil from Groundhog Day. And I was like, okay. But M rating, I was just like, holy crap, all right. But again, I'm sure depending on how you're approaching. Maybe he has
a cocktail or two and all of that kind of.
I'm sure he dies a lot too, so that might have something to do with it.
Or that you're right. So yeah, I feel like every time there's an M rating, it just means they probably use the F-bomb like 3 or 4 times or have alcohol, or maybe there's a quote unquote sexy scene enough that they have to, slap it on there just so parents don't write them letters and tell them to stop making games or something like that.
That's true. Good point.
But how about you?
Well, let's see. Probably played some more Sims 4, but I can't remember what I did. I was probably just messing around with it one evening. And then, again, got to play a little bit more Days Gone. I actually got to fight my first horde the other day, and boy, it's tricky because you have to, I'm assuming, considering this, like I've started to encounter them more, Like, I would just be driving, minding my own business, and then suddenly there's a big horde just right in the middle of the road. I'm like, holy shit, I got to turn around. And then I'd go the other direction, and they start chasing me. And they are just scattered about in the game, but then I think there are certain areas where they congregate, and then that's an area in which you have to clear them out, because I got saddled with a mission that said clear out the horde, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm doing this. And they give you all these tips. It's like, make sure you've got everything you need. And I'm like, I don't know what I need.
Right?
I really don't.
Give me a checklist.
So I just had ammo, I had Molotovs, I had grenades. I was like, I don't know what else I need. So let's just hope for the best. And I noticed they were kind of like huddled up near a train. So I was sneaking up next to the train cart and seeing if maybe I could get a jump on them. And they were all just right there on this bridge where this train car was. And I was like, Molotov. And then boom. And then, of course, they all ran through the fire at me. And I was like, nope, that didn't work. So I just took off running.
Now they're just on fire while they're chasing you.
So essentially what I had to do was just kind of circle the area a lot and chuck what I could at them. And if I had enough space between myself and whatever zombie was rushing me, I could pop them off with a few bullets. But it was just, it was constantly just trying to keep moving, trying to keep away from them, because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
You can try to lure them to something to make it explode, but even that's not a guarantee, because if they don't stick around.
Is there like some high tree you can just hole up in and just keep throwing things or something?
That's the other part of it too, is I was trying to find areas in which I could possibly get some sort of a reprieve from them, because again, you have nowhere to go, and especially if you run out of stamina, you're going to get screwed. There was an area that you could climb up to, like the top of a building, but they can get up there too. So I kind of had to, I could go up there briefly to kind of get my bearings, but eventually they would climb up there, so I had to prepare.
And then that's kind of cornering yourself, I would imagine. Or does he take fall damage?
It depends on how high the fall is. Off that building, I could jump and be okay, but if it was a little bit farther, he would take some damage.
Got it. Okay.
But even when I got up there and I knew they were going to be climbing after me, throwing something like a grenade or a Molotov didn't seem all that smart, because they would climb up slowly. So you'd have one or two come at you. So you could possibly, if you're lucky, shoot them or take them out. But by the time you're already taking care of them, the others would already be up there. So what do? You've got to manage how you're going to approach this, because you don't want to waste your good stuff. It's going to take out a group, but you don't want to put yourself into a position where you're vulnerable.
Right.
So I eventually got it, and I did die once or twice trying to get a flow for it, but it's tricky, and I'm not looking forward to any of the others, especially considering I have found some huddled in a cave. So there is no way to get in and out of there safely, because I just kind of walked up on this cave and you could hear them scrounging about in there, and I was like, how am I going to do this? What is the deal?
Maybe you can find a fat man in the game or something.
Yeah, God, that would be great. I even thought if they even allowed you to build them, because I know I've found some, it's proximity mines. Those would be perfect. Okay. Set one up here, and then they could explode that on their way out, set up another one a few feet away from that one, and they'd just kind of pop them off one by one. But even still, I'm sure some would get out, but it would at least narrow the herd down some.
Right.
So, I still want more time with it, and again, this is another one of those weekends I'm not going to have a lot of time for it, but it's fine. I'm doing life stuff.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Exactly.
But I did play one other game that I had not played in a while, and I'm going to talk about that later, because there will be a reason to bring it up. But it was...
Gotcha.
I guess I can talk about it now. I turned on Monster Hunter, since I hadn't played it in a while, because I guess the update had come through, and I looked at my icon, and it said Iceborne. I'm like, I didn't buy that. What is this? So I click on it, and then, of course, there's just like all the updates and all this stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. And I just kind of messed around with it. But there is a reason I will talk about it in greater detail later, because it's pertinent to that. But I did mess around with that, realized that I was rusty. Very, very rusty.
Oh, I'm sure I would be too.
Yeah, I should have.
I haven't touched it in God knows when.
I should have went in with easier stuff instead of just jumping in head first to something difficult, because I was just like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll get back into the rhythm of things. No,
I can do this.
I was not ready. So, but yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But right now, let's talk about some news.
Excellent.
We got some news. I thought a lot of these were going to be quickets, but I mean, I guess there's a little bit to talk about with them. So, the first thing is a new video game network is heading to broadcast television.
I heard about this, actually.
VENN, the Video Game Network and News Network, wants to be the hub for all things video games. Live esports tournaments, let's play videos, game reviews, previews, whatever you want. So they want it all there. Okay. Now, this endeavor is being spearheaded by Ariel. Let's say Ariel. Ariel Horn, who previously worked with Riot Games and Blizzard. I don't really feel like that's good pedigree, but that's what I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And then Ben Kusin, who is the former global director of new media at Vivendi Games, with several investors involved, such as Amy Mohammed. That looks and sounds good. Sure. She's the former head of global esports at Blizzard, and the Twitch co-founder, Kevin Lin. So the network is set to launch in 2020, distributed across broad media platforms with original programming, partnerships with the biggest names in the industry, whatever that means. We'll see what happens. You know, I actually kind of pitched them something the other day when I found out about this, because I was like, you're probably looking for original programming. We got some ideas. Just saying.
I thought it was more focused on esports though than that.
I do believe that will probably be their primary, kind of like the ESPN of video games.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm sure they'll have to fill the gap with other things. So they're probably looking for, and again, that's why I pitched. I was like, hey, you want video games? We got video games, man.
We play them. We know them.
So
we got opinions.
I doubt they'll look in my direction, because they're probably looking at whoever these big names in the industry are.
Yeah.
Like Ben Kusin, that guy. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see, yeah. I guess after the failure that was G4, I'm a little skeptical. But
I was gonna say we had this once before.
Yeah, but I will say esports has become a bigger deal now. So
much though, yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, colleges are doing this now, so yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, I feel like the market is a little bit more forgiving now for it, so it might actually work now. I don't know. So we'll see. The next story I've got, you've heard of IMDb. Everybody's heard of IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing. It's where you go, and when you don't know somebody, and you be like, I know that actor. Where do I know him from? And you
or why haven't I seen them in so long? Have they done anything?
Yeah. And you go and you find out they've done 100 things. You just haven't watched them.
I just not there.
Yeah. Did you know that there was an IGDB?
No.
Okay. This is the Internet Gaming Database.
Okay.
Now, this site started back in 2014. I didn't know it existed.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. For that long, even. Okay.
It essentially does what the IMDb does, but with video games.
Sure.
Which is kind of odd, considering they do video games on IMDb, too, because actors and stuff, they do.
Yeah, they acted them. Yeah.
So, who made this? What are the reviews? That's what they kind of dig into. So, if you want to know everything about Super Mario Brothers, they'll have it on their website or whatever. Okay. The reason we're talking about it is Twitch acquired the site, with representatives of IGDB itself saying that this will help their company move forward faster and deliver a better version of the product to its users. Now, as far as what Twitch plans to do with it, like, are they going to integrate it much in the same way that we've seen Amazon integrate IMDb into their videos, where you can do the X-ray things, like, oh, I know that guy, and you see all the actors who are in that scene, which is really kind of interesting, because if you pause it, whoever's in the scene on the movie, it shows you just those actors. on the screen. It'll be like, dit, dit, dit. And if that's who you're looking for, it's right there. So it's a neat little feature, but I'm not quite sure how this would work on a game front per se. But I mean, it very well could.
Probably just some other kind of ad in the viewer's way over the chat window somehow.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure we'll see it implemented at some point. I'm sure right now it's not like they don't have a set plan as to what they are going to do with it on Twitch, but I guarantee you they will. But if you didn't know, and we just heard us talking about Amazon and IMDb, Amazon owns IMDb, which also owns Twitch, which now owns the Internet Gaming Database. So it's all under the umbrella of Amazon. All of it.
Damn it.
Yep. So they own this thing. So we'll see.
I'm just sad because you know how I feel about one company like owning everything.
Mm-hmm. Amazon,
not a fan of that.
Yeah, Amazon and Disney seem to be trying to take over the world, and then eventually one is going to own.
I mean, it's
other.
working because nobody's stopping them. So,
No.
I mean, yeah.
But what if Disney bought Amazon? Then they would own the world.
But don't you think? I feel like it would almost go the other way around with Jeff Bezos' money.
I don't know. Disney's got that old money.
It's true.
I mean, they threw down.
They might just be the last two alive on this earth, and their apocalypse for everything.
When they start buying restaurants, that's when we'll know something's up.
What Amazon does? Oh God.
Because they own Whole Foods right now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They do.
I don't think I knew that either.
Mm-hmm. So
son of a biscuit eater.
Just wait. They're going to start buying up restaurants one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Whole Foods technically has like little diner areas. They even have like little bars in them.
Yeah.
The Whole Foods by my house, it's like 2 or 3 stories, and there's like a full-on beer bar.
Wow.
So you just get tired of shopping, just go have a couple of beers and then go back into the store. I guess like it's like inside even. It's not.
It's what they need.
A separate part.
Yeah, they need that at Walmart so I can tolerate the people there.
Oh, we don't need more weird stuff at Walmart.
That's
so people come in quite hammered, I'm sure already. We don't need to keep that going.
I'm gonna buy me a rake and some corn muffins. Okay, what are you gonna do with that? Who
Drink
knows?
a Budweiser while I do it.
All right. Hey, guess who got banned from Twitch this week?
Oh, I wonder.
Well, this week's victim is Kuko. That's what we're gonna call it. Kuqco. Kuko? Kuko?
Sure.
That's what it sounds like.
I have no Kuqco, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. We're gonna say Kuko.
Okay.
She is an art streamer. Her account, you'd be thinking art streamer. What could she be possibly banned for?
Right.
Was she drawing?
She was drawing nudity or something. Yeah.
No, she was cosplaying as Chun-Li from Street Fighter. And they said that she was suspended for, quote, sharing or engaging in sexually suggestive content or activities. And the streamer argued back with Twitch via Twitter, saying how unjustified her suspension was and that she even thought ahead when she bought the outfit to get a size up to ensure that the slip was not going to be too high so she wouldn't show as much skin, but clearly this was not sufficient. So there was nothing scantily clad about this outfit. Or
now that you said what it was, I remember reading about this now. I had just forgotten the streamer's name. I was quite upset about it when I read it because you've got bigger people who are using like racial slurs and they're fine.
Yeah, but cosplaying as a character from a video game that you can play this video game on the stream.
And cosplay is fine. Body painting is fine. As long as it's within that art frame. So it just, I don't know, like if this was just a bunch of people came into the chat and decided, screw this isn't wholesome enough. She's not wearing enough, blah, blah, like just attacking her and doing enough reports. And if she wasn't big enough, that's the only time Twitch takes action, I feel, is if they're just smaller that it, So I'm very sorry to hear this. I can't pronounce your name.
Kuko. We'll just say
I
it's
feel
Kuko.
like it was an injustice to you, and I'm sorry that had to happen because I feel like it's a horrible horrible thing.
There was no reason for it, not a one that I could see. So this just continues to forward the narrative that Twitch is broken on so many fronts because they allow things that shouldn't go on to go on and suspend or ban people who have done nothing wrong. The entire system is broken there. If they continue to go down this path, I could care less if they falter and go. I doubt they'll go down the tubes, but you know, if Mixer becomes the top spot to stream, you know what? It's for everyone's benefit because Twitch can't get their shit together.
I really do. I feel bad about that, man, because I don't know. I mean, we could all say it was just because she was a chick or something like that, you know, and I mean, who knows? It could have been, you know. I feel like this had to be a situation where people had to report it because, again, like looking at the video of what she was wearing, I don't know that I personally would have thought anything of it because it wasn't like she was sitting in a sexually provocative way or had the camera angle where it was so low that you could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the camera angle was a little bit lower, but in my mind, it was to show off the outfit.
Sure.
It's not like she had cleavage coming out or her butt hanging out or anything like that. Now, granted, I didn't watch the entire stream. I just saw like some still photos of what she was wearing. So I may not have the full scope of what she did throughout the stream. But I'm led to believe it was probably just a bunch of, a female showing too much skin on the internet. This is what's wrong with Twitch. Let's report until something happens. But, you know, the guy who says the N-word is fine and we'll just let that go.
Yeah,
you know, like that. I think that's like, because that's been what's in the news like the last couple of weeks. So unfortunately, my brain defaults to that being the reason until someone can show me otherwise, you know, because I never want to default to that. Like, I would like to think that there was a legitimate reason why these things happen, but as our segments have been going over the last several months,
I'm with you. So
I don't know. It's sad.
It's
and
a
I'm sorry
shame.
that had to happen.
The next story that I have is actually something I think we've been waiting to see happen.
Okay.
Because after this year, it seemed like something was going to have to happen. E3 may be undergoing some much-needed changes. It seems like they are interested in shifting from its intent as a trade event to more of a consumer-oriented show. Now, while they have been injecting that element into the expo for the last several years, they never have quite found success with it because it's still a trade show event. So they're catering more to that than a consumer event, and it's just this hodgepodge of oddities that just doesn't really work, even though it still is a popular event that people seem to enjoy, and that's where a lot of the big announcements come from. So, I mean, we've seen companies bowing out here lately.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, that's a huge
We
sign.
felt like some kind of overhaul was going to have to happen, or it was just going to stop altogether or something,
Right.
you know.
So, the Entertainment Software Association are looking to invigorate the show, return it to its former glory, as it were, trying to involve more industry influencers and maybe even some paid celebrities, which I don't really see how that will help, but why not? I guess. I
mean, people go to Comic-Cons all the time because their favorite celebrity will show
Sure.
up and throw money at like VIP passes and stuff. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I could see that as being an added perk. Like, oh crap, I really want to go to this one because Troy Baker is going to be there signing autographs. Or something, you know what I mean?
True. That would be a pretty interesting idea. Now, if you want some context behind this as to why this would be really important for them to do this, E3's largest attendance record was back in 2005, and they had 70,000 attendees. That sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
This year, they only had 66,000, which it's not a bad drop, but I mean, it's still kind of meager when you compare it to Gamescom's 373,000 attendees.
Wow. I don't think I realized Gamescom was that well attended.
Yeah. So clearly they're not breaking the records all of these others are, because when you compare all these other game shows, even Tokyo Game Show wasn't that far off from that number.
I feel like even PAX East is usually roughly around 80,000 sometimes, right? Because they always sell out.
Yeah. So
assuming they all make it, go on any given day. But
so for a big show like E3, their attendance records are low, which is surprising to say the least.
Do you think that has something to do with them just now opening it up to other people outside of the industry, like where I could get a ticket now and just go?
I mean, you would think maybe, but I'm not quite
sure. Or the
sure.
loss of the people over the years, maybe, or something.
I'd say the lack of people, or especially some of the companies, you have these rabid fans who are looking forward to say, "Oh, Sony's going to be there. We got to go there." And then Sony says, "No, we're not going." And be like, "Well, I'm not going now. I'm not. I don't care, because that's the only reason I wanted to go in the first place." So you lose that audience. So the ESA really needs to, if they want this show to continue in some way, shape, or form, which we've already discussed way back, when the show happened, it's not what it needs to be anymore. Everybody gets their information.
Well, yeah,
for these
this day and
games.
age, everything's streamed or so easy to find on the internet or watch the whole thing that it almost just seems silly to spend all the money to go unless you want to actually get your hands on the games.
Right.
Like that's the biggest perk is like getting to actually play these things. Yeah.
So I think this will actually be a smart move if they reconsider what this show needs to be, because by next year it needs to be it being the place where all these companies come to showcase their stuff. That's I still want that to be it. E3 has always been that big show.
Yeah,
everything
and I've always
comes
just
together.
enjoyed that time of year. Like
Yeah.
it's our kind of our mini Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah, it's always fun.
So I'm
So
hoping,
hopefully it doesn't go away altogether.
Right. I want them to find a way to encourage all these companies to say, look, we still want to be that place where you come and bring your big guns. What can we do? Possibly talk to these companies, figure out what they need to do to make this happen, to make it fun for them and encourage them to go. Because the way it's starting to seem, EA's got their streaming videos, Nintendo did their Treehouse videos, or Sony's doing the state of play videos. So that could make E3 obsolete.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Quiggets. Only have a few, but they're pretty good ones. Last week we mentioned Nintendo filing a lawsuit against ROM Universe for all the illegal and shady dealings they have going on. Well, while they were preparing for this new court case, they actually emerged victorious on another court case they had going on. The UK High Court ruled in favor of Nintendo, saying that the sale and distribution of ROMs and emulators for the Switch is unlawful. Duh.
Right.
This rule will now force UK internet service providers to block access to these websites that allow access to pirated Switch games and hardware. Good for Nintendo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, if you're mad about it, that's, sorry about it.
Yeah.
I guess you were one of the ones getting them illegally or whatever.
It's called a business. Businesses need
Yeah.
to make money. That's kind of the purpose. So, sorry if you don't want to pay for something.
I mean, sorry guys, even there's still several games I want to buy, but I have to wait till I have the money. I'm not trying to steal it.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for people to actually stop and consider the people who are behind these, even with movies, because I think movies and TV shows are pirated more than anything else.
For sure.
People work on this stuff. They have jobs behind the scenes. Just because all you see are the actors doesn't mean there's not 100 other people or thousands of other people behind the scenes.
The camera person, the costume person, the
effects designers.
It goes on and on.
Yeah. All those credits you see at the end of a movie, those are people with jobs who got paid to work on this movie. If you steal it, if it doesn't make that money, you will not see another movie like that again, but then they won't get jobs. Because, you're taking that away from them because the movie didn't make money. So what are they supposed to do? You're taking away their livelihood because you're too cheap to plop down $20 for a movie.
I'll just use this as an example. Ash versus Evil Dead was canceled. And when you listen to some of the people who were working on the show, they were like, the ratings on Stars weren't that great, but the pirated ratings were through the roof. And people wonder why it got canceled.
Exactly.
So
Screw you, pirates.
you'll lose your favorite shows because of stuff like that. So wasn't me.
Yep.
I got my Star subscription, dang it. So it was the rest of y'all. So thank you for canceling my show.
Damn Skippy. And see, I've even thought about canceling Stars on my service because I can't think of
Well,
what
now I don't have it, but
Well, yeah.
like that's why I got it.
But I mean, I start thinking, it's like, what do I watch? But if I want to watch something on there, like I think the only show I do watch now, but hell, it'll be another year before that comes back, is American Gods. But
oh yeah,
I mean, what do I watch in the meantime? I don't know. But if I
it's
want to
like
watch
$5 a month for the app, so like I always could easily justify canceling it. And then when my show comes back on, I want to watch, resubscribing, like, and then watching my show and then canceling it again if I need to. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. Screw you, pirates. Let's move on.
Yep.
Discord is no longer going to be offering up free games on its platform.
I don't know that I knew that it did.
I think they were trying to
Maybe
compete
that's why.
with other services that give you that, hey, it's a monthly free game.
Yeah.
Does Twitch even do that still? Because I know they
Yeah,
were
I
doing
think
it
so. Yeah, if you have Twitch Prime.
Yeah.
Or not Twitch Prime. Maybe it's Amazon Prime. One or the other. Maybe if you have either
think it's
or.
Twitch
But I
Prime,
know with
yeah.
my Amazon Prime, I connected it to my Twitch, and I would get free games. And then they do like a lot of loot stuff for like those multiplayer games, like Warframe drops or Overwatch loot boxes or things like
Yeah.
that you get.
Bunch of garbage. Sony confirmed that its acquisition.
Oh, sorry. Speaking of free games, though, Epic Storefront, and I think it might be by the time going on still by the time this airs, but the Batman Arkham series and the Batman Lego series are all free right now.
Yeah. So if you've never
So
played
go
those,
just
go nab them.
collect those because they're free, dude. That's
Sure.
like all of the games. It's a lot of games for free.
A lot of good games for free.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that because I think it goes on the whole weekend too into Monday. So hopefully you didn't miss it, but go get them. It's free.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sony confirmed that its acquisition of Insomniac Games has given them the rights to the Xbox exclusive game Sunset Overdrive.
So it's switching.
Yeah, pretty
Now.
much.
Aw.
So, and who knows? Maybe they'll be kind enough to allow it to still be on.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. Yeah, I'm with you.
No.
PlayStation boss man Shuhei Yoshida. I always feel like I'm not saying his name right. But anyway, he was quoted as saying that he was overwhelmed by the graphics of the yet-to-be-released Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
So, I mean, it looks good. It looked good the
It
last
really does.
time I saw it, but it's been a while since they've announced anything for it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but I haven't been seeking it out either, so I
No.
don't know if I would know. Because, like, that looks like one of those brutal games that I'm just never going to try.
I mean, I wish it wasn't, because it did look interesting enough, but I'm like you.
Oh, I'll
I'm just-
totally watch some people. So, hey, streamers out there,
Sure.
let me know. I'll watch you play it, but I've seen how salty I get at games like that. It's just never going to work out.
Head of Ubisoft, I never can say his name right. Mr. Guillemot, we'll just stick with that. He believes that Beyond Good and Evil 2 will have a major impact on video games as it aims to revolutionize adventure games and the open world that is expected by players.
Okay.
I mean, this game's been a long time coming. I feel like the hype is going to be overhyped because people have been wanting it. I'm
telling you, man, we start things way too early.
Yeah, I'm trying to temper my expectations for it because I really did enjoy the first one, and I'm glad I actually came across it because it was one of those games I remember when it was announced, and it was just one of those you kind of see. It's like, yeah, maybe I'll play that, and I think this was on. It was when G4 was still a thing. I remember that.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think it was on an X-Play video. They were talking about it, and they were just like, this is a gem of a game that people have not paid attention to, have not seen, have not played. It's been overlooked. Go find it. Seek it out. And so I did. And I was like, wow, they were spot on. What did how did I miss this? Why did I just overlook it for this long?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how did no one talk about this and hype it up to give it the
When
credit
was the first
it
one
deserved?
released?
Early 2000.
That might be why. I mean, we weren't as very interconnected then as we are now either.
True. So, Hey, speaking of Batman, Batman's coming to Fortnite. If you care.
Oh, I think I saw something about that. I didn't look any deeper, but
No, it's
yeah.
been confirmed. He's coming to Fortnite.
All right.
So good. Yay. BioWare's abandoning Anthem. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, they're abandoning the roadmap of content they laid out, and that's obviously different, right? So...
Just all of our ideas, but the game is still going to be fine.
Sure,
guys. But every idea we had's gone.
Yeah, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to patch things. It'll be fine. The hotly anticipated John Wick Hex will release exclusively on the Epic Games Store starting October 8th.
I'm excited. I know I'm going to get the Epic Store hate, but yes, I got it. And yes,
Get over it. They can get over it.
Dude, it was when they had that sale. I think I paid like $7 for it or something like that.
Well,
and I had like a gift card. So before you'd be like, they're going to be stealing your information. I'm like, I didn't give them anything to steal.
But think
so
about
if they
what,
take the last 26 cents off my gift card, then have at it.
but also think about what you just said a moment ago. Free games. Batman.
Oh, yeah, the free ones, you don't have to put any of your info in. You just have to have an Epic Store account
So if
for
you
it
wanna-
to assign itself to.
Yeah, but if you want to hate on the Epic Store, but you've never played awesome Arkham games, then if you're going to neglect yourself from playing those games because you have some chip on your shoulder, you're a moron because they're free right
I mean,
now.
everybody stand by your own morals. That's fine. Just check them to make sure it's like a legit reason or whatever.
Yeah,
But
don't just be like, because I like Steam. Okay, and anyway. Reef Entertainment announced Terminator Resistance, which will release on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC starting November 15th in the EU and Australia, and then North America on December 3rd.
Interesting.
Meh. I mean,
I always feel bad like this isn't my market either. But
look, I have a fondness for Terminator. I probably have given it a lot more chances than I should have, considering that 2 out of 5 movies are actually really, really good, and the rest are kind of mediocre at best. And then you have all these tie-ins and things that they do, and then it just kind of, I guess I really don't like the franchise as much as I feel like I do. You know,
or that they want you to.
Yeah, like you feel like you have this nostalgia because you remember these 2 great movies, but then you start looking at it and be like, do I really like this? Like as much as I feel like I do. I mean, it's
but
cool.
I even
and all.
feel like the market for it, like now, I mean, the next generation of gamers, like how familiar, like when was the last movie? It was
a few years ago.
I mean, I know we've got like one like coming up or whatever,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. I'm kind of.
I guess I'm just trying to think of like generationally who would care.
not too many people. I mean, there's not been a good Terminator movie within a more recent generation. So a lot of the good ones, I'd say a lot of the younger kids who have grown up here recently, like 18, 19, they've not seen a good Terminator film because maybe they've got a chip on their shoulder where they're like, I'm not watching
Or
older
they've not been
movies.
shown.
Or they've not been shown.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a whole generation of kids out there that know nothing but the Star Wars trilogy, the prequels and stuff like that. Have never watched the originals, and they love them
We've
to
had
death.
a generation of people who thought Kanye West discovered Paul McCartney. Okay, like
Or Post Malone discovered
Oh.
Ozzy Osbourne.
yes. Oh my God, when
What
I
is
saw
that?
I'm like a tear. I'm like, they need better authority figures in their life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't blame them 100% because why would you think to look them up? I guess, but like, I feel bad that authority figures have not shown you who they are.
Yeah. I've tried to do right by my kids, showing them stuff, and trying to do it, get them in early, but also don't want to expose them to certain things too early to where it's just like, like I want to make sure they're interested,
Sure.
And I'd be like, hey, you really need to check this out. This is really cool. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me. You'll love it. But yeah, I mean, even the company doing this game, they've not really done anything. They did a Rambo game I've heard
Oh
that.
wow, so they like to pull from the movies.
Yeah,
eh?
but I mean, even you go farther back, and it's a bunch of games that you're just like, I don't know what that is. I don't really care either. So I don't have high hopes for it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? But I doubt it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, have you heard anything about that new Rambo movie? I've heard a lot of bad things.
Not really, no.
I've heard it's uber violent and kind of culturally insensitive.
Oh, well, good.
So,
I can't wait for Twitter.
yeah. I'm sure it's all over Twitter. We just got to go look. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. I don't follow those circles.
But again, in today's woke society, what is considered culturally insensitive? Because I have a buddy of mine who's a big Stallone fan, and I saw him singing its praises on Facebook. So, what is considered culturally inappropriate?
Like he's our age group, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like we're less offended
Yeah,
than the one coming up behind us.
That is absolutely true. Trust me.
You know.
And the last thing I've got is the indie game Knights and Bikes is getting an animated series courtesy of Tiger Aspect, the studio responsible for the Mr. Bean animated series.
Oh.
Knights and Bikes. I feel like I didn't look it up, and I should have, but I feel like I remember this somewhere. Like, did we possibly see this at PAX? And I could
Knights
not,
and Bikes?
Yeah, I couldn't put my finger on it, but something about it sounded very familiar. I know I've not played it. I know I don't own it, but I feel like I saw it and possibly maybe played it briefly.
Oh, it does kind of look familiar.
But I cannot remember.
I mean, I could say safely that I did not play this.
Again, it could have been something I saw in passing. I just can't remember.
It's got kind of an interesting art style.
Yeah, the art style was interesting.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all right, well, who knows? But hey, that thing is coming possibly, maybe, if you're interested in that. Truth or trash time. I've got one.
Okay.
Uno. Yep. Because the speculation continues. We've discussed the possibility of Undertale's Frisk, Waluigi, Monster Hunters, Ryu Hayabusa, all coming to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But I'm here to tell you right now that none of those are coming, but the next DLC fighter. Okay.
Yeah.
Out of all the speculation we've done, this is the guy. This is what's going to happen. Lloyd Irving. Do you have any idea who Lloyd Irving is?
No. But I already distrust people with two first names.
Sure.
So.
He is the protagonist from Bandai Namco's Tales of Symphonia.
Still does not help me, but congratulations. Oh wait, am I supposed to say if this is true or false?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think?
I mean,
sure.
I want to say trash because I've never heard of it, but I also
they just got a character just named Terry.
Terry. Oh, well, I know Terry.
But still,
of
that
course.
was just, like, you want to hear something badass like Ryu Hayabusa and be like, oh yeah, but they're like,
Hi, I'm Terry.
next, DLC, Terry, Roy.
Don't forget to clock out, please, before you leave work. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Crap. I'm gonna say trash.
Okay.
Just because I don't even know who this is.
That's,
which I'm sure now maybe people listening will be like, how do you not know Lloyd Irving?
You don't know Lloyd?
Well, then tell me who he is.
Yeah, please.
And why I should know.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to go through some release dates real quick. On September 23rd, we have Oliver's Adventures in Fairyland on Nintendo Switch. Then on September 24th, we have Contra Rogue Core, which I have no doubt will be divisive, for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast for Nintendo Switch. And then this is the one you're waiting for. I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator for PC. The Surge 2 for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Dead by Daylight finally comes to the Nintendo Switch. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid for PC. FIFA 20 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And Aspire 1 VR Operative for PlayStation VR and whatever PC VR thing there is out there. Then on September 25th, we have Constructor Plus for Xbox One. September 26th, we have Code Vein for PC. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition for Nintendo Switch. Rage 2 Rise of the Ghost for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Habroxia for Nintendo Switch, Northgard for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, BDSM Big Drunk Satanic Massacre for PlayStation 4 and PC, Bad North Jotun Edition for Nintendo Switch, Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger. I'm going to assume this is 9 because this says IX. Roman numerals. Kids, if you don't know your Roman numerals, learn them. For Nintendo Switch and...
What is this X game?
What is this? For Nintendo Switch and PC. And then the last 3 I have here, I'm going to, I keep saying I need to get a Switch, and they keep finding ways to really want me to get a Switch, because now on September 26th, coming to the Switch, is Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. And I guess maybe I would be a little bit more enticed if they were the originals, but these seem to be mobile versions with updated graphics, so I won't have that attachment, but they are still those games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dragon Quest, that's another series. If you've never played the originals, I recommend them. The first one, I don't want to shit on it, okay? It's a real short game, but there's really not a lot to it. You just walk to a town, and then you buy stuff, and then you fight. And then you walk to another town, and you buy stuff, and you fight. And then you eventually make your way to the end area where the princess is being held captive by the Dragon King, and you kill him. I mean, that's really... There's no side missions or nothing. You just go find him. Prepare yourself. Get your weapons. But it's fun. I enjoyed it as a kid. On September 27th, we have Dragon Quest 11 XI. There you go, kids. More Roman numerals.
What's the Z?
This is echoes of an elusive age definitive edition for Nintendo Switch, FIFA 20 for Nintendo Switch and PC, Code Vein for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition for Nintendo Switch, Tropico 6 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Mining Rail 2 for Xbox One, Freedom Finger for Nintendo Switch and PC, The Adventures of Elena Temple for Xbox One, and Car Mechanic Simulator Pocket Edition for Nintendo Switch. There you go.
So, can't say there's a lack of games on the Switch. That's for damn sure.
Oh, hell no. No. It's time to play Name That Game! Okay.
I feel like we probably had the music in our head at the exact same time.
We probably did.
Because right when you were and cut, I had the... Anyway.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page when that happens.
We were totally right there.
Now, I do have a few extra. I have 5. Mainly because if you saw the games I had to choose from this week, their descriptions were a bare minimum.
Here's a game. Enjoy.
Yeah, and I was just like, what the hell is this? I mean, nothing gave me... There was maybe one that I could actually work to create. And I tried. I tried to take what they gave me and just beef it up a little bit. But
sure.
I had barely anything to work with. So I thought, okay, well, we'll do 5 real short games, and you can just tell me what you think maybe they are.
Get them all wrong, yeah.
Okay, so the first one, this game is nothing more than a simple puzzle game where your goal is to help Yellow Circle get to Sweet Donut. You have ink, and you can draw a line, but remember, it's not infinite. There are 10. Did you follow that?
Yellow circle to a donut, and you can draw a line, but you can do it 10 times.
Sure. Okay. Is this A, draw line, eat donut, B, have ink, will draw, C, eek, pastry, oh, or D, donuts, R.
Oh my God. It's do I go the incredibly simplistic route because of how simple it was? Or do I go with I kind of want to go with eek. See? But I almost feel like it's just going to be A or B, where it's just these 2 mechanics are in the game. That's the name of it. Why do I agonize over this? You know what? I like C. I'm going to go with C. I'm going to have hope that the developers did C.
Okay.
So C, final answer.
Well, you were close because the answer was D. Donuts are.
Oh, God damn it. I really thought for sure that was going to be the wrong one. Like, out of all of them, the one I assumed was the wrong one. It was D. All right.
All right. This next one is sad, to be honest with you. This game is about boredom and self-pity. It's mostly about the developer. You walk around.
Is this a documentary?
Well, I'm starting to wonder. You walk around and you press the interact button. This is my first game. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was just
God,
like,
okay.
my God, this guy. Okay.
Yeah, he's just like, it's garbage. I'm sorry. Just here. Okay. How much is it? Did you write that one down?
No, I should have. I didn't
Okay.
look.
Just on that one alone, I'm curious if he's like, just take it. It's free.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
Please. Is the answer A, life tastes like cardboard? B, I hate myself, buy my game? C, interact with me? Or D, I bought a gun and I intend to use it unless you buy my game?
Ooh, D is scary. Like, that just lends itself to way too many Steam discussions.
Sure.
What was B again?
I hate
I
myself,
hate myself,
buy my
so
game.
buy this game. I'm going to go with B just because the description was apologetic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with B.
Answer is A, life tastes like cardboard.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, this
I feel like I would have bought it if it was I hate myself, just buy this game. Because I'd be like, well, your description and that, okay, here's a couple bucks,
Yeah,
dude.
here you go.
I'm not going to play it, but I'll buy it.
Yeah, I have pity for you. In this next game, you play as a snake who has a love for music. Your music. That's right.
Yeah.
Use your favorite tunes to create unique levels where you must guide the snake to food, twisting and turning, following the beats of the song. The snake will adapt to the rhythm, so be careful not to miss a beat. Is this A, rhythm snake, B, beat serpent, C, musical asp, or D, viper tunes?
Ooh, they're all actually really good. Like, I like Viper tunes. That's where I get, like, confused because I assume that's you. Because usually when I really like them, it's the one that you created.
Perhaps.
I'm thinking Beat Snake or what was B?
Is rhythm snake or beat serpent?
Oh, okay. Rhythm Snake or Beat Serpent is kind of what I've narrowed it down to. The Rhythm Snake.
The answer is A, rhythm snake.
Hey!
Good job.
There's my one. I haven't gotten one in a long time, I feel like. Did I get one last week? I don't think so.
No, I'm not sure. I can't remember. Okay. This next one is a hyper-casual, physics-based sandbox platformer that allows you to play your own way and on your own terms. No more limits or difficult objectives to complete. Just roll around at your leisure and explore numerous large-scale, surreal, and fantastical levels while smashing your way through anything to earn money and maybe do some combo hits in the air to multiply your payout. Is this A, what? B, dang? C, oh snap? Or D, word?
Oh, my God. No way.
It's one of them.
What? I feel I'm just going to pick one at random because I have no idea why any of these are the name. Dang!
The answer is B, dang!
Did I get one right?
Good
I
job.
got two right. Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
All right. Last one. And this one, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. This top-down action game sees the brave, horned night elk embarking on a quest to rid his beloved kingdom of dirty-ass mutants who recently invaded the catacombs of the royal castle. That's it.
Okay.
Is
Nice and
this
simple.
A, Moose versus Mutant, B, Dirty Mutant Invasion, C, The Legend of Night Elk, or D, Moose Anti-Poo Adventure?
Moose and Taipu Adventures. Oh my gosh. Moose and Mutant.
Answer is D, Moose Anti-Poo Adventure.
Damn. I thought for sure that was nope.
No, it was the worst one out of all
Yeah.
of them. So there you go.
They usually are.
But you got 2 right.
I did. That's like almost a record, I think,
Yeah,
for me.
so you did good. All right. This week on our headliner of the show, we're going to be talking about video game crossovers. Now, not necessarily about, I guess we're going to touch on video game crossovers that have been done, but what I really want to try to talk about between us is, can we come up with a solid idea for a video game crossover? Because I feel like, despite the popularity of crossovers in video games, there have not been that many that I would personally consider real crossovers. Now, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, okay? Just so we're clear on the criteria.
Got it.
We have games like Super Smash Brothers, where we get all the Nintendo characters clashing together, and then you throw in some Sonic, you throw in some Solid Snake, Terry, and whoever and the guy from
Irving, something.
yeah, Lloyd
Irving.
and all these characters, they come together. But there's no narrative. You just throw in
Right.
characters. Same goes for any other fighting game like Marvel vs. Capcom, Mortal Kombat.
Well, here, even Fortnite lately, John Wick,
Yeah.
Batman. Yeah.
There's no story element. You just incorporate these characters. Or in some other games, you incorporate costumes or outfits. And then you're like, oh,
Right.
look, you kind of cross it over because it's the thing. Now, to a degree, I will say that, like Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate or even Mortal Kombat versus DC, they did incorporate a story, but it's still, in my opinion, a fighting game, so you're not really crossing over the ideas. You're just saying, all right, well, let's take a fighting game and then just slap these characters together. Because that'll work. That'll work, right? Because you have, I mean, for Marvel characters or comic book characters in general, I guess, there's really not a genre that they fall into. I mean, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and things like that, they're obviously fighting games, so you're taking their element and then throwing in these other characters.
Sure.
And that's what seems to happen with a lot of these things, is because you just take that, or even racing games, Mario Kart,
Yep.
Sonic Team Racing or whatever. You take just a racing element, and then you.
Well, they did like the Mario and Sonic Olympics kind of thing. Yeah.
So you have these games that aren't necessarily the games these characters came from. You're just taking an element of that and then cramming all these characters together. So I don't feel like that really justifies a proper crossover.
Right.
You even take something like Hyrule Warriors, which takes the Dynasty Warriors platform, but you insert Link and Zelda and all these Zelda-based characters into this style of game. I still don't feel like that's a proper crossover per se, because you're taking characters from one game and inserting them into another style of game. And while there is that crossover, it's still one type of game. Like this Hyrule Warriors is a Dynasty Warriors game with Link in it.
So in other words, more of like a story, everything gets kind of mishmashed as opposed to borrowing other people's characters.
Correct. So
Yeah.
I found a few great examples of what I would like to see more of. And believe it or not, you would think, why haven't we done this more? So the very first one I found, I didn't even know this existed, because I'm thinking it was
Like this is legit what you're about
yeah,
to say.
these
Like,
these
have
are
happened?
yeah, these
Okay.
are legit. And it kind of goes, I feel like I kind of lined them up in a way that expands the, and shows how it got better and better, like where it could really go. The very first one that I could find records of that kind of crossed characters over was a game called Konami YY World. I had never heard of this. I'm thinking it's a Japan-only game on the Nintendo. Yeah. You play as a character named Konami Man, like that's original, but apparently he was a mascot way back when in the 80s. You go through these levels that take place in other Konami games. Now, while you explore these levels, you can find characters from other Konami-based games like Simon Belmont, Goemon, and even, strangely enough, King Kong and Mikey from the Goonies, which were characters in games that were produced by Konami. Yeah. And then you can take those characters from those levels and then play them in the other levels in the game. So it's kind of this crossover where you're finding these characters, you're taking them, and you're playing them in other levels. So it's kind of neat, you know?
Yeah.
So I could see where that would be like, oh, this is kind of cool because get to cross over all these weird characters. Now, the first real crossover that I was aware of as a kid was Battletoads Double Dragon. And now this was a third-party mishmash, which I personally don't think there had been at the time, where you had two companies putting their characters together. Now, considering these two games were essentially beat-em-ups with that arcade-style punch, kick, kick, and whatnot, mashing their styles together, I don't feel was foreign at all. So, while you did have this idea of putting these two elements together in one game, their styles really complemented one another in a way that neither felt foreign to the other. You know what I mean? Because they were essentially identical in some way, shape, or form. It didn't feel weird. So you're like, yeah, they play the same.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it was neat seeing these characters interacting in the other's worlds in some way and stuff like that. So it was a neat concept for, even though it was like completely bizarre because you're like, what the hell are these two? What do they have to do with each other? You know, it doesn't make sense. But that's kind of the point of a crossover sometimes, is like, how do these two things come together? Well, there's a story involved and it works to tell it. Now, this story didn't necessarily have a lot to build on, and I'd love to see them try it now, but with Microsoft being the owner of Rare and seeing what their Battletoads are right now, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but well, who knows? Hell could freeze over. We'll see.
Sure.
So that was a proper take on it and trying to get it there, but I still don't feel like there was enough to really justify saying that it was done right, because again, two very similar style of games come together to a story. So not quite there yet, but we're getting there. This, to me, the next game I have to kind of go off of, it's impressive, okay, which is Kingdom Hearts. But we are going back to the idea of characters that do not technically belong in a video game per se. So the Disney characters are not essentially video game characters, therefore them being injected into this world, while impressive, and even the stories they build around them are impressive, you're not mishmashing anything other than these characters in this video game with Final Fantasy characters as well. So the story elements, the ideas, they got that. I mean, that's great. But then there's that missing game element that I feel is lacking. So, move on to the next one. And this is the one I was talking about. This is what I did on Monster Hunter the other day, which I thought I had missed completely. But they had the Witcher crossover. And this, I felt, was more in line to what I'm talking about, because there was a story mission. This wasn't just, hey, there's a skin with Geralt in there. And then,
here's Geralt, yeah.
No, there was an actual story. He comes through a portal, and he's just like, where am I? What am I doing here? And they're just like, I don't know. Who are you? And he's like, I'm Geralt of Rivia. I'm a Witcher. I got, doing all this other stuff. And then you start seeing this story play out where one of the creatures, which I can't remember the name of from his game, and they're like, we don't know what this is. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's a... So
blah blah blah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, that's what it is, and I'll go out there into the woods and take care of this. And what they did, now granted, this is still a Monster Hunter game, okay? But now you get to play as Geralt going out looking for this monster. So you have these elements that they are crisscrossing with Monster Hunter, but you have Witcher elements that they're sprinkling in. Like even the layout, the way they would do like the missions, it all came from The Witcher 3. Like you would,
Oh,
like
wow.
I started noticing how things was like, this doesn't look right because something's amiss here. But it would be just like they did it in The Witcher 3, and it finally occurred to me. So when you finish an objective, you would hear the sound effects from The Witcher 3, like mission complete and all this other stuff. And I was like,
Oh, okay, that's really neat.
so
Yeah.
they did. They mishmashed it, but at the same time, they had to adhere to the Monster Hunter gameplay style because it's still in the Monster Hunter game. So I feel like that's where I was a little disoriented playing this character because it was like, okay, so this is still Monster Hunter, but I feel like I'm playing The Witcher, which is really neat. But
Yeah.
this is getting closer to what I'm talking about. But finally, this is what I'm looking for. Okay? Because I've sung this game's praises 100 times over.
Okay.
Professor Layton.
I probably didn't follow that formula.
That's fine.
Just gonna say.
Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney, which is the Phoenix Wright Professor Layton crossover. This is what I'm talking about. They took two characters from completely separate games. One is a lawyer-based, investigative journalism. The other is a puzzle-based game, but with detective work in a sense because he's a professor and he's trying to solve mysteries just the same. But you combine them and you play both elements of the game. So certain times you're doing court cases and you're having to interrogate and you're having to give evidence to support contradictions and stuff like that. And then other times they'll flip it around and they'll put you into a puzzle and you got to solve the puzzle to try and figure out the mystery that's going on. So you have these two characters and their art styles. That's the other great thing about it. They didn't change one's art style to fit the other. They had their own distinct art styles meshed together in this animated cutscenes that they put in, which made it so much better.
Yeah.
But you had both gameplay styles of both games together in this game. So you felt like 1 minute you're playing a Phoenix Wright game, and then the next you're playing a Professor Layton game, and it was just back and forth throughout this great story, meshing these elements together. That, to me, is a proper crossover video game that I want, because we're not talking about putting two Nintendo characters together, which could work, but we're talking about two completely separate characters from third parties coming together and meshing the games together to create this nice amalgamation of both games. That, to me, would be a proper crossover I want to see.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
Yeah. So, my big question here, and I'm going to let you go first since I've been doing a lot of this chit-chatting. Outside.
Show the good the bad example first. No.
I mean, again, there are plenty of crossovers out there by definition.
Yeah.
But what would be a crossover game that you would like to see, and in what way, perhaps?
Well, the first one that I wrote down, I feel like is so freaking easy that these two would go together. That there would really have no working on it whatsoever. Was Tomb Raider and the Uncharted series.
Yep. See, that was
Or like the newest one with Tomb Raider, obviously, because they're kind of the same game the way they play already.
Sure.
And I could see those two characters working in tandem very well together. And if you're blending those storylines together, I feel like that they actually would work really well.
Yeah.
So that could be its own series right there where, Nathan Drake's probably looking for something of Lara Croft's father or along his work. And that's how they end up crossing paths. And it seems like it would be very easy for them to fall in line to be working with each other to accomplish their own goals.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of note taking on that one because I just felt like as I was looking at it in my head, I was like, those two would blend beautifully.
Sure.
Since they're both, artifact hunting and doing all that sort of thing. And since both of the games already mechanically play quite similarly, that it would be very easy to blend those two together. And then it would also kind of have like that cooperative style gameplay that you see in some, like with Guacamelee, for instance. So there's 2-player and you use each other to help each other out. I could see a multiplayer mode of needing like one person's playing Lara and the other person's playing Nathan, or, you know, whatever characters from each one that you want to be using at the time to be helping achieve the goal in these levels. On certain levels, I feel like it would be good to have them singularly on their own, because I think it would be really cool to be like, first maybe you're starting playing Lara up until the point you guys meet, something happens, and then all of a sudden you're playing Nathan Drake, and then that's how you're learning how these two come together. And then at some point they're cooperatively playing. I mean, there's going to be times you're going to separate off and everything like that, but I thought that would be kind of a no-brainer crossover.
Right, yeah, absolutely. No, I think if you could, each game, like you said, they do play very similarly, but they do have some of their own unique elements to them. Like she has a little pickaxe.
Oh, yeah.
Nathan Drake has his little rope. Of course, she has something like that, too.
She does, too, yeah. She gets a rope, and yeah, they kind of have, I guess, similar tools at their disposal. I mean, I feel like obviously she'd be the swimmer of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
think
any of the freaking water levels you'd want to throw in there, you know, that would be Lara's turn to take over.
Yeah, I think they would have to find what elements they do have that are unique skill sets to their own, and then that's where you start to make it shift a little bit. So if you come to an area that, you know, maybe Nathan can't do, but she can, then you have to bring her in, and so on and so forth like that.
Like,
so,
she's really good with tight spaces.
Yeah. So,
you know, I feel like they always have her crawling through something she could barely fit through, you know, and swimming. So that would be the forte. You know, they both shoot, but I think he's better at it by taking out massive quantities of people at one time and hiding around and all that kind of stuff. And they both have insane forearm strength. I mean, let's be real.
Sure.
So they could definitely help each other climb anything, I think, you know, between all of their stuff. Yeah, I think it's just like a match made in heaven.
No, I agree.
So, and I would play that game.
Yeah.
I mean, and then just imagine all the drama, you know, like, oh, you're working with another woman.
Right. So, yeah.
I thought you retired, Nathan. Yeah.
So it would essentially have to be Square Enix and Naughty Dog coming together and trying to figure out how to make that work, because together you're talking about two solid companies. They could make it work.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe like before the last Lara Croft game. So like the first two of that
and
trilogy, and not this last one necessarily. Like,
and you could easily, you know, squeeze it into some portion of their careers.
Or it could even be, it could be like in the between of some of the games that have already happened. Like, this is just a blip that happened on the map as far as what they were doing. And then all of a sudden, Tomb Raider 3 happened.
Yeah. It doesn't have to adhere to any of the other narratives. And you don't have to be like, well, hey, do you remember when? No. Just make it a standalone something that happens. You know,
it's its own thing. They never knew each other beforehand, but this time they need to work together to accomplish the thing, and then they go their separate ways.
Yep. I think it would be a great idea.
There could be an agreement made at the end. We're done.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Because that was actually at the top of my list, because that was one of the ones, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but we actually talked about that in Man Cave Season 2. That was one of our little discussions we were having in one of the episodes, because I was like, yeah, that would make sense. And it does make sense. I don't understand how this has not happened, because it just seems like it's a no-brainer.
Oh, probably money or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know. Or they're two separate companies. So
well, they are. But again, we talked about third-party crossovers. Make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Make it happen.
Oh, yeah. I'm just making excuses why they themselves haven't reached out to one or the other.
I had a piece of paper here, and somehow it's disappeared, that had all my notes on it.
Oh, no.
So, but I was trying to remember, as you were talking, I was like, shit, I got to remember what I said. The other game that I had as far as a crossover game, and luckily I remembered it, was a Ratchet and Clank Mega Man X crossover.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you would have to do, or at least this is kind of the story I was batting around in my head, and I guess the gameplay situation would be where it would kind of be muddy and trying to figure out how to make that work. But the storyline could be easy because Dr. Nefarious from Ratchet and Clank, he wants to destroy all organic life in the world or in the universe. So he already is kind of in line with Sigma from Mega Man X because he's a synthoid or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, and they want to destroy all human life, and they want to be the dominant species, so you cram them together. And now Ratchet and Clank and Mega Man X have a common enemy, and they have to work together to make it happen. Now, how do you make this game? What do you do? How do you cross them over? Well, that's where I was trying to figure out, because I guess Ratchet and Clank kind of has this collectible kind of platformer 3D, and Mega Man X did kind of go into 3D territory at one point, but it was never as good. I feel like, because I liked the originals, but when they got into the 3D territory, I lost interest because I never did finish 6 or...
It's a platformer too, right?
Yeah, but just I felt like
I was gonna say 3D platformers have never really hit the nail on the head yet for me.
No.
But
so if you could find a way to mishmash, like if you had to choose one, like if you couldn't do 2D and 3D, which I could understand could be difficult, but if you could find a way to do them both, I'd say do them both and let Ratchet and Clank be the 3D portions, and then you go into 2D for Mega Man X. Maybe he's got to go like plug into a computer or something to eradicate a virus, and then it goes into a 2D platformer. So the level is essentially the computer program, and he just happens to be in it. And then Clank could be the one to kind of help him get in there. Ratchet and Clank themselves could help upgrade his abilities and his armor and his weapons, just like they do their own stuff. So you can have these very outlandish Mega Man X style weaponry that they are helping incorporate. Plus they could utilize his ability to take abilities from other characters, and they can incorporate that into their own weapons, so they have an arsenal just the same as him. So you can really mishmash these characters together in some way. At least I feel like it could. So that would be another... That would actually be Insomniac and Capcom. They would have to get together, but that would have to be like a PlayStation exclusive now.
That's true. And Sony would be like, sure, bring it over.
Yeah, but it's whether or not Capcom would be all for it. But I don't feel like they're that shrill about it. They'd just be like, sure, money. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So
come to some agreement.
And I'm sure there are a lot of other great ideas out there, but I feel like you really have to hinge them on a good story. Because I really did get stuck at one point trying to figure out, it's like, well, you could say Mario and this character, but what's the story? You know? Like, they tried to do this loosey-goosey story in Super Smash Brothers Brawl, I think it was, for the Wii. And you saw these characters interact, and I was like, oh, that's cool. There's, like, Luigi and the guy from Kirby, and it's neat to see, but what are they doing? They're not talking. They're just, you see a little cutscene where they're interacting. It could be anything. There's no story. So you just kind of have to make it up as you go.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's really all I've got on the subject. I wish I had more, but I can understand why it's not happened in this way a lot, because you really have to think, how do these characters mash, and can they? Because I think there are a lot more out there that we're not considering, but would it make an interesting story? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it would really boil down to. Would these? Because I'll say right now, yet again, Tomb Raider, Uncharted. That's a bestseller right there.
Yeah, dude, that would sell so well. Yeah. It's like a match made in heaven.
Sure, and it all makes sense logistically from so many standpoints. It's a game that would work. Period.
Yeah,
it can.
100%.
Yeah,
like people would play that. I would play that game.
Whether my other idea would work, I don't know. Possibly, maybe with a little thought and. Trying to work out some of the kinks of what would make it work, sure. But it's a long shot. A lot of these ideas, outside of just easily saying, let's just put that character in there, it's a long shot. I don't know. I mean, I'm so excited that we got Phoenix Wright and Ace Attorney, because those are my two favorite franchises.
Yeah.
And just to see them come together was like, oh my God, like mind blown. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, same with seeing two of your favorite franchises on the big screen come together, and you're just like, how did this happen? So
I'm so happy right now.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I got on the subject, unless you got another one.
Well, I put down like 2 more, but like after I was listening to your description here, because yes, he'll send me the idea, but like not necessarily a full description of like what he had in mind. And so I usually write down several ideas in hopes that one of them will hit the nail on the head. So I'm very happy with the Lara Croft Uncharted thing. Because I was like, as you're describing, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm sure I'm not the first to have ever thought of that. But the one that I would think is funny to see, but doesn't follow the lines of what you were saying necessarily, but just imagine, if you will,
I'm
a
imagining
BioShock Dream Daddy dating simulator. Because and I don't know why in my head this was like late at night, guys, so now you're hearing one of those like late at night lace thoughts that I don't usually put out into the world because they're reserved for me because it's usually dumb,
right?
But you're dating, you have the chance to date like Andrew Ryan. All right.
Okay.
Or like even Jack himself, if you want to go that far. But just are going on a date with Sander Cohen. He'd take you to all these great art galleries, you know, because he's so artsy fartsy.
Sure.
And just, or even Dr. Steinman, you know, before Adam Use or after. You can choose. We can figure out what timeline we like.
Right.
You know, the dating app could just be called Adam. And I mean, or even Big Daddy could be on there.
I mean, this is not as far-fetched as KFC doing a dating simulator, so I feel like this would be more in line to something that would appeal to people.
But just like listen to the Dream Daddy music as you're staring at BioShock characters. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, I feel like it'd be one of those where you have to, you know, build your own character. Like in the beginning, you'll have a character creation thing, you know,
right?
Like choose whatever guy that you want. So it's not like you're just taking some random dude character out on these dates, you know, but yeah, I don't know. I could see like even like the group date situation scenario where like you're all out together. I think it could be hilarious. A hilariously good time.
Sure.
But I don't, but obviously the BioShock elements I'd only be taking, I think, is the characters. Unless, you know, it's more along the lines of like an open world, kind of like how Boyfriend Dungeon might be doing it, you know, where you actually go out into the world on your dates, but then as you're coming back, you have like the dungeon crawler aspect, but instead of that, you're actually, you know, fighting the things in the BioShock Infinite world. If you want to go to Infinite, I mean, 2 was my favorite of the series, so I would stick with at least BioShock 2 or younger. But yeah, so that was just one of those dumb ideas I thought of where I was just like, if when I saw Dr. Steinman, I'm like, oh, dude, the entire date just talking to that guy, but trying to be all prim and proper.
I mean, it's not that far-fetched. You could mesh the two together and make it work in some way.
That's what I was trying to think of, like in that, you know, open world first person kind of I mean, I know BioShock's not like this open world, but you know, in that style where, you know, it's obviously not just pictures being thrown across the screen with text, you know, like dating simulators mostly are. But I bet there's a way that you could assimilate that in there.
Oh, for sure.
And then you're on the date and then all of a sudden something bad happens and now you both have to like shoot your way out together. And that could be the bonding experience on like your heart levels on how well you're doing on each date. Maybe you were really brutal and gruesome and Dr. Simon's like, dude, I like the cut of your jib, you know what I mean? Like this is good, you know.
So what's your other one? I'm really curious.
The other one, well, like I think this one actually could work though. Papers, Please and Hotline Miami.
Okay.
So the reason why is because like there is kind of this element in Papers, Please where like further along down the line you get like a tranquilizer gun or a real gun, you know, because the terrorists are really trying to cross the border to Estrika, you know, and but now imagine they break through.
Okay.
And now it's Hotline Miami style in that sequence where you are, you know, the border patrol and you're going in and like really fastly trying to get all of these terrorists that are coming through, and it's a brutal shooter in that regard. And I feel like that actually could work.
Yeah, that could.
Because the characters from Hotline Miami could very easily be pulled in as terrorists trying to break into a Stroika.
Right.
And trying to create that havoc.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially with all the different masks that you would wear or things like that, or just like the general morality compass on these characters in Hotline Miami in general, to be the ones trying to pull the wool over the Border Patrol's eyes. So as soon as you stamp that not admitted and they try to break through anyway, and then it pixelates down to a spot and then opens up, and now you're Hotline Miami shooting your way through. And you could probably even choose which side you want to be. Do you want to be the terrorist or do you want to be the Border Patrol agent? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There could be two different angles to that.
I could see that working. I could really, yeah. I'm with you.
So that one, I was like, might fall along your first one, where it's like, this could easily blend those stories together.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to get to a Stroika for the drugs or whatever it is that he's selling over there. And, you know, you got to do your job. I can't have you coming in here being a terrorist. So,
right.
And neither of them have like open dialogue, so it would work. Because even in Papers, Please, it's just text for the most part, except for the rah, 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 like on the loudspeaker, you know, and then it just says, you know, entry not guaranteed or whatever it is when you hit the next, you know. And yeah. And it lends itself to some amazing music.
That's right. Best soundtrack ever.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Okay, I'm with you. See, you came up with some good ones. You didn't think you had something, but you did. You had a lot of good ones.
It was when I heard you describing what you were looking for. I'm like, well, I have one.
But the
second one, the last one, actually, I still think actually could work very well, since the stories are very loose already anyway. And there's several different endings to Papers, Please. So, I mean, depending on how well you beat the Hotline Miami sequences.
Mm-hmm. But you are
how well your family gets fed that night, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you are blending two genres well together in that regard. So I mean, it does work. So for two different games with kind of different play styles, but somewhat of a similar aesthetic in a way, it does work. So I'm with you. I like it.
I would play it. Mm-hmm. I don't know about my Bioshock Daddy dating simulator. If someone gave it to me for free, I'd be all about that. I would play the crap out of that game. But it was just one of those things that amused me in my head, like as I was imagining going on the dates with the different characters in the Bioshock world. I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. Because I want them dressed the same way they were in Bioshock.
Right.
But just talking very naturally, like you are actually trying to get to know someone on a date. And it just amused me.
Yeah, no, I could. I mean, it would be a harder sell for sure.
Oh, for sure. A very niche group of people that would be into it.
Papers, Miami.
And just imagine, like, you get to choose whether they have chest hair or not. I mean, like, see, all of these things just started to make me kind of giggle, like, hee hee, that's funny. You could have a ghost scene, you know, with Sander Cohen because he's so artsy and you guys are making art together. And, oh, yeah.
I'm with it. Make it happen. I think they.
But that's all I got.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Well, I'm racking my brain for any other great ideas, but I mean, I'm telling you, it's hard to try and think of a good mishmash that could work.
Believe it or not, I kind of scoured my Steam list just to look, just to see if there was I mean, I had to go through like 1,000 games as I'm like flipping through. I'm like, which ones do I think would actually work together? Mm-hmm. You know.
I mean, there are a lot of great characters out there. It's just, can they all work together in a game that is not a fighting game or a racing game?
Right.
You know, I mean, what's another Dragon Age and Legend of Zelda? How would that work?
Ooh, that could work. Yeah.
How would that work?
I could see
I don't
that
know.
one.
Who's the main protagonist of Dragon Age? Or antagonist?
In the original Dragon Age, like, you kind of created your own.
Okay.
So, like, there could be Morgan. She's one of the main characters that you come across that could join your party.
What about the bad guy?
Winnie. Oh, a bad guy. I'm not going to remember the character-specific names now off the top of my head.
Well, whoever the Dragon King is could be looking for the Triforce, or Ganondorf could be looking for something in their world.
Yeah.
It could work. You know, the
absolutely.
aesthetics are similar. It's just How would you?
Or even like, I mean, we could just go completely generic and like
Skyrim, yeah.
or the Elder Scrolls series in general with a Dragon Age sort of thing, since they kind of share the same, what's the word I'm looking for, with like the fantasy elements to it.
Genre.
That could go well together. I mean, they both have dragons already.
Sure.
I'm sure you could very easily write in a way how they've come across paths with anybody in the Elder Scrolls.
Right.
Although that's kind of like no main character either, because that's character creator. So that's where I think I had a block, because I was like, on some of those, like, there's no set protagonist because you're creating your own character in the creation tool. So
Well, that's why I kind of pitched Zelda, because there would be that element of
At least you had
differentiality
Zelda.
to it. You have he has a very specific moveset. You know how you play those games. He has his arsenal of weapons, and then you go into Dragon Age. They have their own way of doing things.
right.
Smash them together. Find a way to make that work.
Yeah.
Like
That could totally lend itself to each other very nicely, actually. Yeah.
Like, just think about Link using this hook shot on a dragon, and then just taking a run.
Oh yeah.
That would be awesome.
Absolutely. No, that would be cool. I would play that too.
But that's all I got. I mean, I got no other crossover ideas. I thought this would be kind of fun just to discuss. If you have crossover ideas out there, people,
Yeah, what are they, guys?
pitch 'em.
Tell us.
I want to hear about it. We can talk about those if anyone's got anything. But if not, that's our show.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, you can hit us up on Twitter at Super Mega Crash. Find us on Instagram. View our weekly icon art. Send us an email if you're feeling froggy. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/pencilpaperproductions. You can follow us on any of your favorite platforms: Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you find your podcast, we're there. You can also find us on youtube.com/pencilpaperproductions. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I am Stephen White.
I'm Alicia Finley.
Join us again next week, Super Mega Crash Siblings. But until then, game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.